What's up? This is Matt Smith. I've recently had some questions about arching on the bench, so I'm going to try and answer that as quick as I can. I have a pretty good arch for a male. I don't know too many people who can arch more than me. Joe Luther, you can look him up. There's some other weirdo bench like 365 or 148 or something like that, but whatever. I'm stronger than him, so who cares? So, first thing I would say, it doesn't even really apply to arching, but I would say arching. I would say scapular retraction is key. So you can see I have good scapular mobility. So I like to really shove my shoulder back in the socket. Now look from the side. You can see my elbow is almost at my chest, right? Pretty much basically is. This is my elbow joint, and it's basically at my chest right now. My arm extended, but my arm shoved back in its socket. So really concentrate on that. Really work to get the mobility to be able to shove your shoulder back in the socket like that. You see when I grip the bench, when I address the bench, I will grip it underhand, go like this. That's me shoving my shoulders back in their socket, and I will go back up the bench. That's pretty much how I set up every single time I bench. It's a little bit different in the shirt because I don't have the ability to do that with it being all tight. Next thing I'll say, scapular retraction, upper back arch. The vertebrae up here are going to be very stiff. You can't arch them very much, but that being said, they are the most important part of your arch. Take a look at somebody like Dennis Cherry. Everyone says he's a flat bencher. He actually has a pretty good thoracic arch. So the most important thing about that, pretend someone has a string tied to your sternum at about the xiphoid process for all you anatomists out there, all you nerds. So right here, string tied, and someone's pulling the string up, right? That really helps me, that kind of cue of someone pulling my sternum up. Next cue would be definitely try and get way high up on your traps. Now remember, your shoulder blades are tucked down and back, but you still want to get up on your traps. There's a bone there, you can feel it. The top of your scapula bone, if there's a such thing, and that's what you want to get on, all the way up there. You want only this much of the top of your back to be touching the bench, if that makes any sense. Because it allows you to arc more, obviously. Moving down to the lower back arch, not as important, but you can still cut a couple of inches of ROM off. So here, I'd recommend wearing a belt. It's going to keep your back a little bit healthier, I think. People say you can't arch as hard with a back. I arch as hard with a belt. I disagree. I definitely think you can. I think the belt gives you the confidence to push hard against it. You can actually arch harder with a belt. So, wear a belt, arch, try and push your stomach out 360 degrees against the belt, just like squatting and deadlifting. The next important thing about the lower back arch would be to rotate your pelvis towards the bench, crotch towards the bench, wiener towards the bench, right? So, careful now. So, pencil is pelvis facing that way. So what you want to do is rotate it back and towards the bench. That's the cue that helps me. So you want your pelvis to face the bench. You're not going to be able to do it, but again, it's a good cue. Next thing, moving down the body, is legs. You want to force your knees out just like a squat or deadlift. because that will get your thighs out of the way. It gets your thighs out of the way of the bench. Now, if you try and hug the bench, your thighs kind of get in the way, and your thigh will be contacting the bench instead of your butt or your upper hamstring. And that's what we're really looking for, to arch so hard that only our upper hamstring, lower butt type region is touching the bench. That being said, try and keep your knees under the bench. That'll keep your butt from coming up. Also, if you bring the bar down, trying to arch harder, harder, harder. Again, someone trying to pull your sternum up and arch and throw your pelvis back into the bench. You know, coil, coil, coil as you bring it down. Heel. The next most important thing I would say is heels. Whether you're up on your toes, or rather the ball of your foot, which is where you should be. You shouldn't be on your tippy toes. If you're on the ball of your foot, or if your foot is flat, you should still be driving your heel into the ground. And again, that is going to help you to maintain that arched position. I drive my heels back. It allows me to arch harder. Try all these things. As far as stretches, like I said, it was years of wrestling that helped me develop an arch, and then years of arching hard on the bench that helped me develop my arch. So I don't know if like doing a stretch here or there will really help your flexibility, but I would say wrestling bridges, neck bridges, going up on your head and staying up there. Then go back in a push-up position. A back then push-up. And push up real hard. Try and bring your hands as close to your feet as possible and thrust your pelvis to the ceiling. The other stretch that I would recommend is a cobra stretch, where you're kind of in a push-up position, then you slide your hips up so that they're driven into the mat, and again try and arch so hard that you look up at the ceiling, driving your hips down into the ground. I hope that helps. Let me know if you have any other questions. I'm here to help, and like I said, I'm one of the best archers out there, so if anyone can help you develop an arch, I can. And that's it.